right, Ronnie, no doubt about it. A big one coming up this weekend, maybe the biggest game so far this season for the Auburn Tigers. Your take, your perspective on what Auburn has to do to come out with a win this weekend.
Well, I think the big thing is we all look at Ole Miss, the way they've put their team together with Lane and his approach to offense. I think for Auburn, the big thing for them is going to be their offense. Sometimes the best defense is your offense, and being able to sustain long drives, convert on third downs, which in order to do that, to give yourself a better chance to do those things, you have to be successful on first down. And so being in the positive, staying ahead of the change. And so I think that's going to be a big key, but then also turnovers, not having any turnovers, but trying to create some turnovers, especially with Ole Miss. The quarterback's really good with his legs, affecting the game in that way, but forcing them to, put the ball in the air, I think that would be helpful.
Right. The Auburn offense a couple of weeks ago against Arkansas seemed to, do you think they flipped the switch a little bit? Did everything start clicking, or was that just a one-game affair? What do you think?
I don't know, because I think, with the new staff, and everyone's still trying to create an understanding of what each person can do. Like for the coaches, they're still trying to figure out how to best put offensive guys in position, what they can and cannot ask certain guys to do. And then vice versa. I think guys were kind of trying to feel and learn, how coaches expected everything done. I don't know, because it's a different concept on the offensive side. Gus's offense was a little bit different than, this approach. And so I think just trying to make that transition, it was an adjustment period for a lot of people. And so getting the familiarity, with personnel, with understanding of how to get things done, what to do, what we couldn't do. And so I think it was a better performance, but I think that's just with the timing of it. As you've gone through, as the season goes, you get a better understanding of game time situations, because you can't emulate certain things at practice. And it's not game time situation or game speed situations. And so you get a true understanding of that in the more games that you play. So I think as you kind of keep going and progressing through the season, that's some of the things that everyone's starting to figure out. And I think their last week, before the bye week at Arkansas, they finally started to get a feel and get comfortable with those things.
Right. And your feeling is time of possession is a very important factor this week. LSU, I think, tried a little bit of that in their game against Ole Miss. They did it maybe the first series or two and kind of stalled out, but maybe Auburn can be more successful in that regard.
Yeah, and I think, when I talk time of possession is only as good as getting the ball in the end zone as well.
Yeah.
So if you just keep the ball and you don't score, then that really doesn't do any favors. And so red zone is going to be a big part of that. And so when I mean, time of possession, I mean those long sustaining drives, eating some clock up, but then you also have to put the ball in the end zone and put the pressure on Ole Miss, because I think they've shown that they're capable of scoring a lot of points. And so the only way to combat that is to keep the ball away from them, but then you also have to score points.
Mm-hmm. Coach Harsin in his press conference Monday talked about how Ole Miss's defense has gotten a little more physical this year than maybe they were a year ago. What do you see on their side of the ball defensively, and is there a weakness over there that Auburn can attack?
Well, I think in all games, I think my approach to football is the line of scrimmage. You have to win a line of scrimmage. And more times than not, if you're playing on their side of the line of scrimmage, you're giving yourself an opportunity to be successful. And so, with Auburn, I think the key to that is being able to run the football, having success in the running game. And so that opens up a lot more things. It allows Bo to get some of those easy throws, but even more so than that, I think the more he's able to get those easier throws, the running game is helping him out, then he's able to control the game with his legs a little bit more, because he has the athletic ability to do so. It's just, trying not to do too much and trying to get outside of the scheme of the offense. And so, the best approach for Auburn is having a balanced approach. At the Arkansas game, the receivers did a really good job of catching the ball. Bo put the ball in some good situations and places for them to be successful. And so when you look at Ole Miss, I think for Auburn, the big key is going to be on the offensive line, being able to sustain and to create momentum from that side of the ball, and being able to play on Ole Miss's side of the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly that's going to be a big key. Hopefully a big crowd at the ball game Saturday. I was at the Georgia game, and there was a lot of red up there in the what is it, the East Upper Deck. Hopefully that'll be more blue and orange this time around. Uh, let's talk quickly about the Ole Miss offensively. Their offensive team, they've been very successful. Lane Kiffin, thought of as one of the great play callers, I guess you'd call it, in college football, and they've got a great quarterback. A lot of weapons over there. Our defense is gonna have to have great eyes and be focused on slowing them down.
Yeah, and when you think about Ole Miss's offense, and as much as they're able to score and as well as they do, that thing comes back to the line of scrimmage as well. For Auburn, the big key, I think, a part of that was at Arkansas was getting to the quarterback and being able to affect that. And so that's going to be the same key for this week. One, you want to keep Matt in the pocket. You want to make sure that he doesn't escape the pocket and allow him to beat you with his legs, because he's very capable of controlling the game in that aspect as well. They have some design runs for him. And so you just got to make sure you make him one dimensional. And then outside of that, force him to do the things that he's least comfortable doing. And so once you get to the quarterback, then at least they have to think about that. And a lot of times, you can control the line of scrimmage and, just kind of making sure that you maintain your gaps. Don't let him outside of the pocket. And, then that kind of limits the ability to extend those plays. And so it's going to be a lot of pressure on the secondary this week. They're going to be challenged. And so it's going to be key for them to have a great week of practice to be able to make sure that, they do maintain their proximity to the defense or the wide receivers, and, not allowing a lot of space. But really it's the line of scrimmage, be not allowing Matt to get outside the pocket. Lane does a really good job of designing plays. He's an offensive-minded guy, and so he does a really good job. But, I think once you get in the game, when you limit those running lanes, you limit, the success on first down, then it forces them in those third and long situations, which, everyone kind of knows what has to happen in those situations. And then that's when you try to get to the quarterback and do some things and give them different looks to kind of, mix it up a little bit, using the home field advantage, getting the crowd involved and, trying to get some delay of games, causing some penalties, on those guys.
What do you hear anything about guys coming back this week? I know we've been missing a couple on defense. Any breaking news there?
Heard anything. I didn't participate in the I think the conference this week. But I think Owen I think the thought was to have Owen back this week. I think that's a really big help for the defense. Those guys filling in have done a really good job. And so I think having him back, adding that depth, is really important. Outside of that, I really don't know of anyone else, but I think that was the big one that I think everyone's kind of waiting to see.
Right. And TD, I guess, was the other guy. I'm not sure what his situation is, but would be helpful to have him back as well. A lot of people starting to talk about Auburn football a little bit heading into this Ole Miss game. And, the Auburn fans are maybe starting to talk about running the table a little bit and getting to the championship game. That's kind of exciting. Are you starting to think about that, or in the back of your head?
No, I try to keep the same mentality I had as a player. And it's, like Carson says, 1-0 this week. And control the controllables, control the things that you can control. That's preparation. Preparations provides an opportunity to be successful on game day. And the more comfortable you are with the scheme, with the game plan, the better your chances of success are, because the execution is there. And so, try not to get ahead of yourself. 2004, that was our thought, is, we take it one game at a time. I think the quote that I heard is, one of the most insignificant things in sports is the score at halftime. And so you just have to stay the course and continue doing that. And so, right now, you're in the middle of the season. You're going to hit a long stretch right here. This, pretty important stretch. And so coming off bye week, it's doing the same things you've been doing up until this point. Don't change anything. Just continue to progress and get better and build those things that you're doing well. Acknowledge the things that you aren't doing so well and try to improve those things. But I wouldn't change the mentality at this point.